Hi, everybody. This is Lauren Baker, founder of Search Engine Journal, and welcome to today's episode of the SEJ Show, airing a little bit later in the week this week. How's everybody doing today? I have with me Lisa Beyer of the Beyer Group. Hey, Lisa, how's it going?
Hey, great. Great for having me.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm pretty excited to talk about the metaverse, marketing in the metaverse. I have a metadata shirt on, but that is a completely different type of meta, I believe. And then also, we haven't talked for a while, so it's good to catch up. I think I first met you about 8 or 9 years ago, and you've
I'm
been
going to
involved with
say,
SEO.
get,
What's that?
no, it's been like 15, Lauren.
Okay. and, and you've been involved with all aspects of SEO, PR, everything else. Would you mind giving an introduction to our viewers and listeners? A little bit about yourself, your background, how you got started, and what you're working on now.
Definitely, definitely. Well, thank you so much for that intro. And yeah, it has been a good 15 years. And I come from a traditional PR background. And right before we met, I was, running a very traditional public relations agency, very, plain, boring, and really looking at possibly leaving the industry because I just felt like nothing had changed for probably 100 years. Everybody was doing the same thing in PR. The journalists were the gatekeepers. All of a sudden, somebody told me to go to this conference, Search Engine Strategies.
Oh,
Around the
nice.
same time, I had a bunch of tech clients that were .comers, and they were just writing checks left and right, and we had to quickly figure out how to leverage, get media attention very quickly because they were, of course, going public and getting it, raising money. So I went to Search Engine Strategies around the same time, and I just felt like I got a quick MBA in, digital marketing and, the possibilities of how public relations could really leverage, the likes of search engines like Google and Yahoo, and really get, instead of having to rely on the journalists, now we could go, leverage search engines and go straight to our audience, including investors. So that was, how I first really said, okay, public relations is going to get super exciting now, thanks to search engines and digital and the whole internet era. And I'm going to equate that to around Web 1.0. It was when everybody was just getting, businesses were deciding whether or not they needed a website and whether or not this thing called the internet was real and how long it was going to last and all of this. And, I was one of those early adapters with my agency that I bet on the internet, I bet on Web 1.0, and I took PR from traditional into PR 1.0 digital, let's say. And, then fast forward to, social media and mobile and, Web 2.0, I was like, whoa, like, this, of course, is going to work really well with helping gain organic exposure from a PR perspective and branding perspective. Now brands have even more control. They can, run their own shows on social media or YouTube like we're doing right now. And we don't have to necessarily rely on going through radio stations or TV shows and daily newspapers and magazines. So that was all awesome. And that has been the way it's been for about, a good 10 years. And it was great. And now I don't think it's that great anymore. I would think a lot of people would agree that Facebook kind of sucks now and Google kind of sucks now, and everything that we thought was all awesome now is not all awesome. It's much harder, much more expensive. And here I was about a year ago, like I just did not like anything that was happening with PR and, what I was trying to achieve with my clients. Also got a little bit of burned out from the pandemic. And about a year ago, I decided to resign from all my clients and resign from agency life and just take a step back and figure out like what's going on, what's my next step. And it really wasn't planned, but what it allowed me to do was really, see what's happening now with Web3 and the metaverse and really explore and take a deeper dive on how, and learning all this and learning about NFTs and, everything that's the big buzzword now when it comes to Web3 and marketing. So that's where I am now. I also started focusing on this brand that I had started simultaneously to my agency called Female Disruptors. And the reason I started Female Disruptors in 2019 was because I started getting more female entrepreneur, female-led clients, trying to get them public relations and media coverage. And I didn't realize, I've always kind of been surrounded with a male profession, male industry. The tech industry is predominantly male. But I had always had male clients. All of a sudden I had female clients, and it became harder for me to get them media coverage than it was for my male clients. So I started Female Disruptors 2019 on International Women's Day. And I started as a way to own my own media so I could create stories for my clients from an editorial perspective. And then I started getting, pitched like a magazine by other women that wanted to be covered in Female Disruptors. So it's like this little publication I had going. And I thought, you know what, let me just see what I can do to take this to the next level. So I've been doing that over the past year while also learning about how Web3 fits into the digital marketing, where it fits in with PR, where, technology and innovation is really taking us from a branding, marketing, and PR perspective.
Cool. Well, first of all, congratulations on taking a step back, taking a pause, and figuring out what you want to do, right? Because things have been pretty crazy the past couple of years. And then also, congratulations on starting your own publication / group / event / movement, right? So that's pretty awesome. Now, for me, personally, getting involved with crypto and stuff like that, it was during lockdown. I was pretty late, right? I call it late, but got involved around 2020, started playing around, this coin, that coin. And it seemed like just for a while, everyone was just launching some kind of a trash coin. And that's what was associated with Web3. And then Facebook came out and decided they're going to change their name to Meta, and they're going to try to own the whole thing, right? So which I found was very comical, because the company that everyone's trying to get away from is coming out and saying, "Oh, we're Meta, so we're the metaverse." What's going on here? So, but everyone I talk to, what's the metaverse? What are NFTs? What's cryptocurrency? I think they have very elementary, just descriptions, very basic. It's Bitcoin, it's Facebook, it's Oculus, it's this or that. What is Web3? What is the metaverse? And how can it be plugged into marketing for people who want to market within the metaverse to people who are making that transition? And then how can the metaverse itself / NFTs / crypto, et cetera, help establish businesses with their marketing and growth in both the metaverse and the universe at the same time?
Yeah. So, I totally agree. Those great observations and questions. But, the way that I look at Web3, and, this is, I would say, the majority that you talk to, is Web3 is just the next generation of the web. And that is going to include, I wouldn't say the metaverse, but it will include, different types of metaverses. So Meta is not the metaverse. Meta is just one version of, let's say, the metaverse. And I don't think we can't really say exactly what the metaverse will look like and be like, because we're so early on. But I can just give you quick examples of what it is today. So you can definitely hop on Meta, Facebook's Horizon World, and that is a version of a metaverse. It's a virtual world. You do need an Oculus headset to go on it. It's open to everybody. You can go on and you could create Search Engine Journal, a world that's called Search Engine Journal. You can go build this world. It's not, exactly you have to have a little bit of experience, but it's not, you don't have to be a coder or a developer to do it. But you could build a Search Engine Journal world within the Horizon world. And you could, host this podcast and stream it, from that world, and have it have it be an audio version, and have it be an immersive version where you're interacting as your avatar in this
Right.
virtual world. Or you could do like a post show of Search Engine Journal podcast, on there, and whoever might, already have their Oculus headset can go join. It's not everybody has a headset yet, so not everybody can participate like that. But what you could easily do is, if you did have a headset, and if you guys have a Facebook group, you could broadcast that straight, from the virtual world straight to your Facebook group, so you don't need a headset to watch it. So Facebook, I have to give them credit. I mean, they're making it very vanilla and very easy to access and get exposure to what a virtual world, which would be a type of metaverse, would be. So that's one easy example. And yes, Mark Zuckerberg, when he announced the change to Meta, it brought the term metaverse from, you can see in my article. In Google Trends, like everybody started searching metaverse. It became one of the most popular terms thanks to Mark making that announcement. So that's the good news, but they don't own, Meta isn't the metaverse. And, if you go to some of these conferences that are Web3 oriented or NFT oriented, or even, Bitcoin or crypto, like nobody, Facebook is like a dirty word. Nobody even wants to talk about Facebook because everybody wants to get away from the control that big tech has over a lot of things. But we're just talking about marketing right now. And so, you look at the history of the past, 5 to 10 years on what we're able to achieve as marketers and as brands leveraging Facebook. It's gotten a lot harder, and not, it's hard to show an ROI on it. Not, it's not across the board, but it's definitely, what's your take on that?
Yeah, my take on it is, first of all, like I see the whole Web3 movement as being decentralization, right? Like,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, I don't remember anything being this exciting since the internet launched in the first place, right? It was
Exactly.
like, so let's go back in time.
Yeah.
It was the mid 90s. We had just the Cold War was over. There's this new revolution across the world. Everyone's connecting, the information superhighway, yada, yada. Everyone's totally into it, totally excited. The 40 and 50-year-olds were asking me at the time, how do I get on the internet? How do I get my business on the internet? Is there a Yellow Pages so I can find websites on the internet? Like it was a big transition period, pretty much. I mean, for me, from like 97 to like 2003, 2004, it felt like. But I don't really remember like this much excitement. And, I'm just dipping my toes in the water, so to speak. I got some friends that are really into this stuff, like developing apps and for different coins and tokens and things like that. But for me, it feels like we're finally getting to the point of where we wanted to go then, right? Like it took going in this direction where corporations and public companies and all the companies we were trying to get away from back in the day took everything over, and now finally there's the ability with Web3 to say, hey, let's try to let's redo this, and let's let this generation that actually grew up with the internet. Like, so for me, like getting on the internet was like getting away from Ma Bell, getting away from like encyclopedias, the ability to find anything. And then you have this generation that grew up with this controlled internet, right? That it's like, oh, let's finally do something else. And then also, like, I have a kid who's turning 12 this weekend, and he's been playing Minecraft and Roblox for 5 years now. So Roblox, it just seems like Roblox and Minecraft and that whole alternate world and the ability to make things and create things and connect with others is just such a natural transition to the whole metaverse scenario. And then at the same time, like with Fortnite, right? So like plays Fortnite. He's like, Daddy, Travis Scott's doing this. Like he's dropping his new song. and a Fortnite concert, and this was like a year and a half ago. And I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Like, this is really weird. And I go, and there's like 100 people, all with their avatars that they bought. Right? You want to have an original, cool avatar watching this concert drop. I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it now. I get why you want to pay $20 to look different or look original in this world where this is part of your identity, right? So a generation growing up with part of the identity being digital and having digital friends and everything else it's pretty exciting to me. And I just wish all of the V-Bucks and Robux that I've bought over the years were actually crypto coins and grew in value over time. But that's another story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're a gamer, that's like a great example. Like it's easy for gamers to understand, and visualize the metaverse. But, not everybody's a gamer. And if you're not a gamer, the transition, it's hard to imagine unless you actually experience. And that's why I just encourage, the first step for anybody that is not a gamer and you want to explore what is this metaverse or what's an example of a virtual world, you can hop on, through Meta and Horizon World, or there's Altspace VR, which is Microsoft owned. And that's another way that you can enter a virtual world with a headset. There's also spatial.io, which is another platform. Another example is Paris Hilton. She just launched her Paris World, and you were able to celebrate New Year's Eve with her in her own little world, but, with her as her avatar and you as your avatar through Roblox. So, there's different examples of these virtual worlds, and that really is part of when we're talking about the metaverse. It's not the only thing, but Web3 and then the metaverse is part of it. Those are some examples, like some real examples that anyone that's listening can go and explore.
One thing that caught my eye on the article that you put together for SEJ was Snap. And I think I kind of feel like, and we both know McGowan, right? So
yeah,
we quoted him, and I had him
so
on the show
proud
a
of
while
him.
ago. Yeah. So Snap has consistently been one of the top apps used between, I think it's the 18 to 30-year-old group out there, right? And it's always been, well, not always, but maybe like a year in, alternative reality style scenario and everything else. But so besides Facebook and Microsoft, is there anything happening with Snap in any ways? Like if besides building a virtual Facebook group within Horizons, Facebook's Meta Horizons, what else can I do as a business to get in front of those buyers who may want to, I don't know, try something out and they don't want to order something and return it or whatever? Like what can be done on that side?
Yeah, so Snap has made it really easy, and they've been the leader in this. And when they first launched, for the first few years, they were very criticized because of, they didn't have, it was privacy was one of their main concerns. But the irony of it is that now Facebook is the one that, is getting the bat, like, with good reason, of causing all of these like mental health issues with not just teenagers, but across the board. But anyways, Snap has moved, very deliberately, saying no to Mark Zuckerberg when they wanted to buy him out. And now where Snap is today is, that's the easiest way to step into augmented reality. And if you're a brand or marketer, and I'll just use the example Gucci, but you don't have to be Gucci to do this. You can allow your potential customers or customers to see what things, feel and look like, whether it's, sunglasses or shoes or something in your house. So it's the easiest way to dabble in augmented reality, whether you're creating content or whether you're a brand trying to immerse themselves with your customer and let your customer or potential customer, your audience, like feel what it's like to be with the brand, to be actually like wearing the brand in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through a geo filter or whether, it's through one of their programs or through advertising. They just, and Gen Z right now is 18 to like 34. So the older Gen Zers are now parents. And so that is widening the gap of the power of that generation. So it's not just, used to be labeled just for preteens and teens, and now the Gen Z audience is in their late 20s, early 30s, having kids, getting married, and they want to continue to keep them. So brands need to recognize, and marketers need to recognize, the opportunity with Snap is so broad, and it's not hard to. The barrier to entry is not hard. You don't have to, have special equipment or anything like that. That's where their customers are hanging out.
So barrier of entry is Snap. It reminds when Snap first started, you could do geo filters, right? And it was like, oh wow, almost any business could set up a geo filter, and it's really cool. And now you can do augmented reality within Snap, everything else. But are there opportunities for small, medium-sized businesses within Google as well on that side?
I mean, Google has always had the Google Lens is, something that you can utilize. And I mean, I would say it's not as easy as compared to Snap. Not a lot. They don't do a very good job at educating brands or marketers what the potential is.
Got you. And what about how do NFTs play a role in all of this? At the end of the day, what are NFTs and how do they play a role within the metaverse and marketing?
So NFTs stands for non-fungible tokens, and I started learning about NFTs last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it came about was I was talking to one of my speakers for my event that I put on in January. We were preparing. This is like in September, and she's like, Lisa, you should look into having an NFT tied in with your event, mainly because the event was female disruptors, and there's such a low percentage of females involved in Web3, NFTs, and the metaverse. It's growing now, and getting better. So I started researching, and I mean, NFTs right now, if you've heard of an NFT, probably the first thing that comes to mind are, why would this digital JPEG sell at Christie's auction for millions of dollars? Like, why would somebody care that much? Right. Or why is somebody investing in, if you've heard of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and, Madonna just bought a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT for like millions, like ridiculous. So just so that she could change her profile picture to a Bored Ape Yacht Club. And, a lot of this is like the identity of your avatar on Twitter and your profile picture. And so a lot of these NFT projects are focused on, for example, World of Women or Boss Beauties or Bored Ape Yacht Club and the copycats of those. So those are like probably the most popular NFTs. You see people changing their avatars, and those are great from a marketing perspective because people are buying into these NFT projects because of the community membership type of privileges. So if you buy a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT for however much, there's a limited number of them. If you're one of the 10,000, you're in this community, you're in this Discord community, you get certain privileges and access to, like almost like a country club or a membership, on virtual membership. So these women, World of Women, it's the same thing. They're quite expensive right now to get into. But the bottom line of these PFP types of NFTs is that you're able to create community with a limited number of access. Limited number of people can access, and it's a like-minded community. So when we launched, I'm just going to use Female Disruptors, the event in January. My daughter and I happened to be working on this art project we were painting these female Buddhas. So I just thought, why don't we take this art that we're working on and turn it into like anybody that bought a VIP ticket got this NFT, female Buddha. And it's almost like if you just picture like when you used to go to concerts or going to concerts, you like save the concert ticket, and it's worth like that. So it could be as simple as that. Like, I don't know if, in a year, these NFTs that we created for Female Disruptors are going to be worth millions, but it's the first ticket that they got. Now whoever bought that VIP ticket and has that NFT, they get certain privileges that moving forward, nobody else will be able to get. So that's just one way to strategically like outline an NFT roadmap. But NFTs, it's endless, the possibility of NFTs. I mean, it could be for a restaurant, they could issue a certain number of NFTs, and anybody that has that NFT is allowed to make a reservation. Gary Vaynerchuk is doing that at his restaurant he's opening in New York. So it could be for a small business owner, it could be for a medium-sized business. Your audience doesn't have to be high tech to have the NFT strategy in place.
Mm-hmm.
Like an example that we're doing for my husband's company, he's a luxury home builder for homes in a community in Disney. And so we're putting together these NFT bundles for each one of the homeowners that's going to almost be like a time capsule that's going to be recorded on the blockchain. So it's going to include like the progress photos of their homes being built, the original contract, when they picked out their selections, photographs. And that is going to be attached to their house. If they ever go to sell it, that NFT of that historical, verified documents could be sold with that house or be passed on to the next homeowner. So there's just endless ways to use NFTs, whether it's real estate, whether it's recording different contracts. It doesn't have to be a smart contract, but any type of contract, like when you get stuff done at your house, like how do you know who actually did it and when?
Right.
So you can record these now in the blockchain through NFTs.
Interesting. It's like keeping the service records of your vehicle when you go to sell it.
Exactly.
It's actually real and verified, and not just someone writing it down on a piece of paper.
Exactly.
I get a question from Dominic about tying all of this into an event. So you had said that you had launched NFTs as your event pass. Have you attended many virtual events? You said there's a conference going on in Miami right now that you've been on top of or trying to keep on top of. Is that conference being held in the metaverse, and how does that typically work, and how's that experience outside of? I think we're all sick of Zoom, right? So like,
oh yeah, so Zoom is like 2D. Everyone. If you haven't experienced the metaverse or something like something in a metaverse like setting, it's hard to say, well, Zoom is fine. Like why can't we just stick with Zoom? But we are sick of Zoom. So this Bitcoin 2022, I don't believe there's a metaverse version going on, but there was an event that I attended a couple weeks ago through Boss Beauties, and they had two different ways you can join. You could join like what we're doing right now through their YouTube Live, or you could join, they had a metaverse setting set up in spatial.io, which was free. I had my event simultaneously in spatial.io, and they make it very user friendly to set up a simultaneous event, whether, so you could have the Zoom version and you could have the metaverse version. And, we're probably going to look back on this metaverse version and be like, how we look back on AOL dial-up, like it was very primitive, but this is the first step.
Yeah, I agree. We did our we did an SEJ leadership offsite, and the since everybody's all over the world here, decided to play around within Horizons workspaces, I think it is.
Right.
And and then also Rec Room, right? And I didn't realize like my kid plays Rec Room on the Xbox, right? So when he heard that I didn't tell him I got an Oculus because I don't want him to be on the Oculus 24/7. But when I saw he was on Rec Room, I'm like, hey, that's Rec Room? What is that? And I was just there like bowling with like Brent and Janice and everybody at SEJ, right? So but I did find that I had a hard time like not playing around, like when I'm just acting stupid, like trying to give people noogies on their heads and slap their desks and stuff like that while in a virtual environment, which I found fun, but a little bit distracting at the same time, because like suddenly it felt like you're kind of close to these individuals, as opposed to like, just like you said, just the 2D environment. And then NFT with tickets. I think also Traffic Think Tank was one of the first SEO conferences that I saw doing NFT tickets. You've done NFT tickets for your Female Disruptors events, and the point of them lasting a long time, and also the point of like not having to sign up over and over and over and over again for something, right? Like, is there a lead generation component to NFTs as well? Are you getting are you getting that back end information to market to? Are you marketing to the community in Discord or Telegram, or can you market directly? How does that typically work with that community that you're building up?
Yeah. So with me, the way I was able to get their email address, and then whoever signed up for the VIP ticket then got the free NFT. So the way that I worked it, I was already getting that lead. But there are, that's definitely something to take into consideration. There's different ways to control it mostly it's through Discord. Is you could have a way to verify, if somebody, for example, Brian Fanzo did something at Social Media Marketing World where he had a QR code and he gave away, an NFT that to anybody that got the QR code. And what that is going to do is that'll give them benefit for next year to enter a private party that he's going to have in conjunction with Social Media Marketing World. So it's a way, there has to be some sort of a utility, and that's, I think, where we're getting, NFTs are, very popular right now is like collecting art, which is great. Right. If you resonate with the art, but the art also has to have some sort of utility, some sort of, what does it come with? What uses and benefits will I get if I buy this NFT? Or am I just buying a piece of art? Like I have a piece of art on my wall and that's fine. I get the piece of art in my wallet. I bought Boss Beauties. This is a funny story. So I bought, I don't know if you're familiar with Boss Beauties, but they're kind of a blue chip NFT women-led collection. And I started following World of Women. They were out of my price range. They were like going for like 20,000, 30,000 per NFT. So I found Boss Beauties and I told my husband asked me right before Christmas, he's like, Lisa, what's on your Christmas list? And I said, well, I kind of want an NFT. I was thinking like Boss Beauties NFT, and I was half serious. And then after Christmas, I was like, okay, I found this Boss Beauty NFT that resonated with me. I loved what the community was doing. Lisa Mayer, who's the co-founder of Boss Beauties, was one of my speakers. Their mission and vision were like my mission and vision. I was like, oh my God, like I have to be part of this community. So my husband, he bought me a bunch of David Yurman jewelry for Christmas. And I was like, look, do you mind if I return all this jewelry to buy this NFT? So I did. And I returned all my David Yurman jewelry because I just believed so much in this. And that was the only way I could really justify it, because, for somebody that's not in it every day, it seems like senseless to buy a digital asset like that for that much. It was like, I think it was like $4,000 at the time. So I have now access to the Boss Beauties community on their Discord, and which is very valuable to me. And it aligns with my mission and vision for female disruptors. And I see that there are brands that are dedicating a portion of their marketing budget for the year to buying an NFT if that NFT and that community aligns with that brand's mission and vision. And so it's a way to embed yourself as a brand. I mean, you have to do it in a right way. I mean, it has to be real and authentic and transparent, and you have to be able to want to spend time in the community that you're aligning yourself with. But, how amazing is that to be embedded in this community that, loves what your brand stands for automatically. So that's a great use case for investing as a brand or marketer into an NFT collection. Forget having to launch an NFT collection. Just find an NFT collection or community that matches what your brand stands for and invest in it.
Interesting. That's a great takeaway. Another thing too that I wanted to discuss that was on the list today were creator coins. So I've noticed a couple of traditional marketers have gone all in, like Brian Clark's gone all in on creator coins, which is interesting. Typically, some of these folks that are early adopters with blogging and then this and like yourself too. So can you get a little bit into what exactly is a creator coin, how it works, and then anything that you've done in that space as well?
Sure. So I've been researching creator coins for about 8 months, and some of the marketers like Brian Clark and Brian Fanzo and Joe Paluzzi, they launched their creator coin within the last year. And it's similar to what I was just describing as a way to offer your, as instead of NFT, you have your creator coin, which is basically your own cryptocurrency. And it's a way to give back value to your community. And so instead of, for example, me selling, let's say, a one-on-one with Lisa or a one-on-one workshop and charging, let's say I charge $1,000 for that. So instead, I might charge $500 in my FemCoin. I just launched my FemCoin this week for female disruptors. And so if somebody owns FemCoins and they're part of my community, they're basically investing in what they believe in and investing in the community and being able to reap those benefits as the community grows. So if you can create your own basic creator coin economy and program. For example, Joe Paluzzi's creator economy is based on the Tilt coin. And if you own X amount of Tilt coins, you get a VIP access to his events. But you have to hold X amount of his coin. Brian Fanzo works at, I believe, with like certain podcasting, or if you write for his publication. The way that I'm using it is that if you own certain levels of the FemCoin, you get certain discounts on not just my products and services, but the Female Disruptors community products and services. So it's just a way to really have your community invest in each other and believe in each other. So I think it's the next gen of community building. You have to do it right. And it's something that is tricky, and I'm still figuring it out myself. But as a gift to everybody listening, because I just launched my FemCoin, I put a link in here, and I'm giving away 20 $10 spots of free FemCoin. So just to check it out. And if it's your first time, experiencing crypto, I'm honored. And if it's not, now you have a FemCoin. And so I don't know if you've heard of the Ape Coin, but Bored Ape Yacht Club they just launched their Ape Coin. And if you were a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT holder, everybody got free Ape Coin. And now that Ape Coin is worth yesterday it was worth like $11 a coin. But it's a very similar concept. So basically all the early adopters, everybody that attended any of my events in the past for Female Disruptors, they all got free FemCoin.
Sweet.
Just to start them. Yeah. And
so we just dropped the link. So
cool.
Make sure anyone that's watching this in the future, go ahead and claim your FemCoin from Lisa and the Female Disruptors group. I'm noticing a lot of conversation, and you had discussed Gary Vaynerchuk's restaurant earlier as well. I'm noticing a little bit of conversation in the comments about Vaynerchuk, and it's kind of interesting. He seems to be on top of everything. I remember I was working, years ago with a startup that was originally a wallet that was meant to bypass PayPal and all of the other international wire groups called Abra, and it's completely changed now. But Abra was on a show, Apple TV, when they launched. They did their own version of Shark Tank, and Abra was one of the companies that pitched, along with Chris Jones. He pitched. Chris Jones, who used to own Pepper Jam, and now LSEO, he pitched his special guest. I think it's a special guest app on the show or something. But I remember when Abra was being pitched, Vaynerchuk had invested in Venmo previously, and he wanted to get into Abra so bad. Like, he was continuously bidding and bidding and bidding, trying to be like their mentor. Mm-hmm. And that was like when I kind of got into the Bitcoin thing a little bit. But it's pretty amazing how he's kind of stayed on top of everything in this entire trend as well. In addition to Gary Vaynerchuk as being an influencer that's, I guess, was an early adopter on NFTs and is really implementing them into his overall, like, he's gone from like his family's wine business to this, to that, to sports agencies, to NFTs. Are there any other influencers that you would recommend people following that are just trying to really get a grasp of not just like how to market within the metaverse, but or with NFTs and Web3, but then also see what people are doing right here and right now and learn from it at the same time.
Yes. So I see Lara just put that she loves Gary Vee. So I give Gary Vee a lot of credit. There's some things I don't love about him, but I do give him credit for being, definitely an influencer and ahead of the curve and predicting a lot. I mean, besides NFTs, I mean, he was like, all over Snap and all over TikTok and, definitely ahead of his time. I'm going to name some female influencers. So Kathy Hackle is one. She writes for Forbes. She's been covering the metaverse and AR and VR and just new tech, blockchain. She has a podcast with Adweek. Follow her on Twitter, follow her on LinkedIn. Like she's definitely, I mention her in a lot of my articles and quote her in my articles. I wrote the foreword for her book that came out. She's written several books, but this is, even though it's, I think from 2018, it's called Marketing New Realities and it's for marketers. And I wrote the foreword for that. You can get it on Amazon, but it is a great primer just to kind of wrap your brain around if you haven't been following augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, and what that actually means to us today. It's kind of like, Lauren, we've been doing this since Google came out, Facebook came out, like since day one, Twitter day one, LinkedIn day one. Imagine now you weren't on from day one, and imagine you were on year 10. You start trying to figure things out. You can imagine how difficult it would be for us. Like we just know things, just off the top of our head because we were through it. So this isn't NFTs and the metaverse, and this isn't just happened in the past 12 months. It's just becoming popular in the past 12 months. But people like Kathy Hackle, she's a pioneer. She has been focusing and really studying, from live video to augmented reality to virtual reality to mixed reality to blockchain to where we are today. So she's definitely somebody that I would call an expert in this. And there's a lot of people now that are saying they're an expert, and nobody's really an expert. Another person that I would say would be great to follow would be Randy Zuckerberg. And that it happens to be Mark Zuckerberg's sister, but she's doing amazing things, especially focused just trying to educate people on NFTs and Web3 and, metaverse oriented topics. So she's great. And then I just recommend finding an NFT collection that resonates with you and start joining their Discord community and just learning about how they're doing things and, what feels good for you. And, just experiment and not try to figure out a strategy before you've personally experimented. If you don't have a MetaMask wallet, go open one and just start buying like cheap NFTs. And if you lose money, it's okay. But like, here's a statistic.
Much money into the ether. Like when I first started wallets, like some dudes like, hey, we're gonna launch this coin. All you gotta do is pre-buy. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like sending money into he gave me some coin as a gift when he learned that I had done that rookie mistake. But it's the whole wallet thing it's amazing. Like it took me a while to get, but could you get into that a little bit? Just like how the whole thing works, how wallets connect, everything else.
Yeah. So, I mean, MetaMask is the most popular, and I just want to read this statistic because this is amazing. So right now there are 21 million monthly active users on MetaMask, which is basically a digital wallet. That's 38 times, a 38 times increase from 2020. So they're predicting that MetaMask is, this is going to get to 1 billion users, not in the next month, but everybody is really trying to get caught up. So what I'm trying to recommend is don't let's just say, oh, you see this NFT that you want and you don't have anything set up for it. Don't think it's going to be like a 1 hour, quick thing to set up, because then you're going to make a mistake. And it's typically a big, huge pain to set up a MetaMask or a Coinbase account because it's not user friendly yet. So this is the time to get in when it's early and it's not user friendly. And if you wait till it's user friendly, then things are going to be a lot more expensive and there's going to be a lot more competition. So you can probably remember those days with, early on in Facebook when we were doing Facebook marketing and, nobody else was, but it was really clunky and it didn't make sense. And the user interface was terrible, but we were able to get results.
Right. And those users are actively buying, right? So it's like that's pretty amazing that there's that many users within that app already, and a
Right.
30x increase.
38
38.
time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Amazing.
All right. Well, Lisa, one of the big takeaways I've gotten today, talking to you a little bit about the metaverse and marketing, like, well, what we can do as smaller businesses is like not just about investing and collecting, but also the loyalty component of it and the community component. And there was one thing that you said, and I'll paraphrase, but basically, companies have the chance to enter, but they enter transparently and participate in the community and be active and make the investment. And when you said that, it completely reminded me of when blogging started, because I remember trying to pitch clients, and even now, like, hey, you should be transparent. You shouldn't write a blog post with the author being the name of your company. You should have like your CEO like writing it, or somebody that works at the company writing. Well, what if they move? What if they go somewhere else? No. When they were with you, they were with you. Like, there's no covering that up type thing. But it's a really interesting, like, the whole like transparency, building loyalty, building community aspect sounds like a great place to start. And besides what you've done with female disruptors, what Gary Vee is doing, what Kathy is doing, where's a good place to learn also besides your posts on SEJ to get started?
Well, I mean, I have a podcast called Social PR Secrets that I've been on a little bit of a break while I'm getting resituated, but I'm relaunching that this month. Hustle and Flowchart is another great podcast. They've just switched their content about 3 months ago to be dedicated 100% on NFT. And really their audience is digital marketers. So they had been talking, their content had been up until 3 months ago, the latest on Facebook marketing, the latest on LinkedIn. And so now they've realized and they've pivoted and they're focused on, basically like helping digital marketers transition from Web 2 to Web 3. So I would definitely check out that podcast. One thing I wanted to touch on, Lauren, that I think is important for Search Engine Journal and the audience is that a couple things. It's like, this isn't, now we have to figure out everything over again. You can take your strengths and your, whatever your focus is and apply it to the metaverse. So this isn't like you have to start over. It's right. Just you have to learn how to evolve into it. And as marketers, especially the Search Engine Journal audience, our key thing is optimization, right? Whether it's optimizing ads, optimizing for organic. So apply, like that's how we're going to win, is optimizing in the metaverse and optimizing NFTs. Because I will tell you, there's a lot of newbies that are entering the NFT world and the Web3 world because there's so much opportunity. But what I'm seeing they're lacking is the whole strategy of optimization. Like when you're filling out your OpenSea profile for your NFT collection, like what we can apply, what we already know to this new Web3. So there's a lot that can transfer over, but there's also a lot that needs to be learned and merged together.
It reminds me of App Store optimization, actually. There's so much, like when so much App Store optimization comes from SEO basics, the ability to optimize your OpenSea profile or your OpenSea account or whatever you're listing within OpenSea. So it's easily findable, right? Findability.
It is.
SEO is not just about Google. It's about wherever people are searching, right?
Exactly. And the whole thing with transparency and being authentic, that is true, but there's a little bit of a twist here with Web3. And if you look on my Twitter profile, look on my LinkedIn profile, I don't have my picture. I have my Boss Beauty's NFT picture. So it's not me. And it's not that I'm not trying to be transparent, but there's this whole, this could be a whole other topic, but it's called your avatar identity. And so you might have one identity in your Discord for Boss Beauties. Maybe I have my Boss Beauties avatar because I want everybody to see who I am as a Boss Beauty, but I might go into, another Discord and be completely anonymous because I don't really want everybody to know that I'm Lisa Beyer, but I want to, be able to. So there's that, the whole avatar thing is really something that is not taking away from transparency and authenticity, but there's also this alter, ego type of identity that people are taking on in different worlds, and they can wear different things and be different people and be different personalities in the different worlds that they're intersecting in.
It's addictive. Well, it's 1 o'clock here on the West Coast. It's getting close to 4 o'clock on the East Coast. My identity is almost poolside or sipping a umbrella drink underneath the sun for the weekend and doing some other things. And it's got any big plans this weekend, Lisa? Yes. So my daughter is just driving up from college, and we're taking her and her friends out on the boat here. I live in Jupiter. So we're going to go fishing and boating, and I'm off to St. Bart's on Sunday for a week. Oh, nice. Sounds great. It's been a real pleasure having you on the SEJ show today. It's been great to catch up and also learn a little bit about NFTs and the metaverse. I don't know what we're going to do in this world, but as from an SEJ perspective, but you got me thinking about some things. I'm going to reach out on that end. I dropped your Twitter profile, Female Disruptors, the FemCoin. Where else can we find you online? You can also, I can put the link you can go to thebuyergroup.com is my main website. FemaleDisruptors.com is the Female Disruptors website. On the buyergroup.com website is where you can find my digital courses on modern PR secrets. I'm creating a course that should come out next month called What Does PR Look Like in the Metaverse? So I'm really focused on the Web3 and the metaverse and NFT side of how that integrates really with public relations and marketing. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today. It's been a real pleasure having you on. Have a great weekend, and talk to you soon. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everybody. Okay, thanks, everybody. Thanks so much for attending today's episode of the SEJ Show. And thank you again to our sponsors, InMotion Hosting and SEMrush, for making today possible. Have a great weekend, and I can't wait to revisit the metaverse in a year to see what's happened after we get past all this clunkiness. Lisa, it's been a pleasure. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Search Engine Journal Show. If you liked this episode, subscribe to our channel for so much more and click the notification bell so you don't miss a thing.